This podcast is part of the Everyday Heroes Podcast Network, the network for first responders and those who support them.
Welcome back to Scissors and Scrubs.
Hello.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Laura.
And I'm not going to lie, this episode almost didn't happen today.
We had a bit of fun last night.
A little bit too much fun with people younger than us who apparently are okay with mixing 8,000 types of booze.
It's gross.
And then kept giving it to us because they thought it was funny. And yeah, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
About an hour ago I was sleeping and I didn't know if I'd make it. So here we are, back with the summer series, which is always my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to take a little hike in the woods and we're going to
see some beautiful waterfalls.
We're going to go chasing waterfalls again.
Don't do it.
Go chasing waterfalls. All right. So Sparkles has informed me that her waterfalls are short.
Yeah.
So she's going to
Short and
kick
sweet.
this off. But I was informed by Mike today. We have quite an email that came in. It's almost its own
It's a
episode.
little paper. Dissertation.
Yes, it's a thesis. I think she wrote a doctorate. So we're going to read that at the end of this. And I didn't read the whole thing because it was already funny as I read some of it. And I'm going to let Sparkle surprise me with what comes in. All right. Take it away. Waterfalls.
Okay. Waterfalls. They're beautiful.
Gorgeous.
They're cool. They're calming. They're death traps.
Yes, they are.
Don't go near.
Yes, they are.
Every year, there's an increase in injuries and deaths at waterfalls. And a lot of that has social media to blame.
Oh, stupid selfies and
People want to get the best pic, and so they
here's
get
that
closer.
boulder coming off the waterfall on my head.
Injuries that can occur from waterfall accidents include drowning, head injuries, facial trauma.
Facial trauma.
Yeah, like hitting the rocks and stuff.
What, when you're jumping off the waterfall?
Usually, we'll get into it,
Yes.
but you're climbing up rocks to get to the waterfall.
Oh, okay. Yep, got it.
Fractures of the neck, back,
Yeesh.
ribs, lower extremities, and pelvis.
Oh,
Because
those are
they
never
might
good.
not be as deep as you think, and there could be hidden features under that little pool. Also, splenic and liver lacerations are very
God.
common.
Yeah. Jesus, it's like a car accident.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, it's impact. Like, it looks so fun and sweet and nice. You're hitting the water like cement, and there's shit in it.
Well, I don't ever really dive off of waterfalls. I just kind of sit under them.
Yeah, but don't jump.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Although waterfalls are serene and peaceful, their water can be extremely strong, especially after rain because they're swollen. And the force of the water can pull you under and drown you.
Oh.
Yeah. An aerated water makes it harder to swim in the waterfall with the constant pushing down of
It
the
has
air
like its
in the
own
water.
weather system around it.
So the aerated water makes it really hard to swim and resurface. So it's even if you can do that in a pool, you're struggling harder to get back up above the surface in a waterfall pool. When you tumble over a fall, you have no idea how deep the pool is, and you can hit rocks and trees and all that stuff in the pools, or just the force from the fall can cause injuries as well.
Okay.
A lot of times people have to climb to reach waterfalls. If you are climbing up a rocky surface and
Which are
fall,
already wet and slippery.
yeah, the rocks and trees on the way down will cause some serious injuries. You're going to break your arm, you're going to break your leg, you're going to get facial lacerations. So some safety tips for waterfalls. One, wear sturdy hiking shoes or boots because you're climbing. Like it's not like a little, you're not going to the beach. You're climbing to get to these things. Stay on the trails.
Stay on the trails.
Heed warning signs when they say, don't go near there. Don't climb on the rocks. Don't go near wet things.
It's amazing to me the amount of stupidity that people avoiding signs, crawling over fences that are put up for a reason. It's amazing the stupidity people have.
Never climb on or around waterfalls. Never jump off waterfalls or dive into the plunge pools. You do not know how deep they are.
Exactly.
Supervise children and pets when near one. Never play in a stream or a river above a fall. So if there's a fall downstream, don't be playing in that river upstream.
Because if you get stuck, you're going over the falls.
If you get caught up in a current, you're going over it. So don't.
Oh,
You
that
can
is
play downstream. Don't play upstream.
Terrifying. Terrifying.
And don't take photos at the top of a waterfall. It's moving water. Don't do it. Never go alone. Always make sure you have someone with you. Don't ever go swimming on near water alone.
Don't do anything
anyways.
alone.
Yeah.
All right? Except read.
Always bring a phone because you're usually in the middle of the woods or forest or whatever it is. you have to call for help. It's not like there's 8 million people around you in a waterfall.
That's if you get reception wherever you're at.
Right. And always check the weather because flash floods.
Flash floods.
Yep. Flash floods are a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
They come in a flash.
That's why they're called flash floods.
Yep. Very dangerous. And then everything swells and you're over the edge.
That's what she said.
Yep. So I have some stories.
Oh, I hope they're good.
Waterfalls.
You know how I like a good waterfall story.
Yes. And then at the end, remind me to end with my uncle's story.
Oh my God, you really have a hometowner.
Well, that isn't even in my hometown. I just found out about that one. All right, let's see. Let's do the Brazilian man.
Oh, Brazilian man.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, they got some waterfalls down there with the Amazon and shit.
I got that information from...
Wikipedia?
No, I don't do that. Missionhealth.org.
I don't do that. Excuse me.
Missionhealth.org. I got this one. This article is... I'm not sure. New York Post. So, a Brazilian man died in 2020 after slipping off a waterfall while taking a selfie.
Son of
a... Yep. Guilherme
the name.
Chiapetta, 22, plunged 32 feet while taking the photo, landing on the rocks in South Brazil. Yep. Chiapetta suffered traumatic brain injuries and died the next morning at a hospital. His aunt left a post on social media. If I knew that last Sunday that kiss would be the last one you were going to give me, I would have hugged you more and kissed you more. Go in peace, my angel. God welcome you with open arms. The kid's father told the media that his son frequented the waterfall and where he fell from to take photos. Like he was there all the time. He knew it for whatever reason that day.
It doesn't matter.
Wasn't paying attention, taking that picture. And then there is... So there's in Yosemite.
Yes.
There is...
No, I'm thinking of Yellowstone.
Oh, there's Bridal Veil Falls.
Yeah, it sounds pretty.
It does sound pretty. It sounds like it kills a lot of people all the time. And this is... What year is this? This was from 2019. A Romanian tourist, Lucian Miu, M-I-U, fell 20 feet after he left the marked trail.
Of course.
To explore the rock field above the viewing area.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
He was 21 years old.
Oh, that's why you did it.
Yeah. His fatal tumble was one of 2 major falls at the waterfall that week.
Wow.
2 separate incidences occurred at the base of Bridal Veil Fall when the subjects hiked to the viewing platform below the fall and then scrambled up the boulder field toward the base of the waterfall, bypassing all the signs that advise against
because you're a dumbass.
Trails. According to witnesses in both cases, the subject slipped off wet boulders and took 20-foot falls.
Holy shit.
Rescuers had to climb over the rocks to get to the injured person. Helicopters had to come in to evacuate them. Another incident that week occurred at Lower Yosemite Fall. A visitor slipped off a boulder and fell into Yosemite Creek. After becoming trapped underwater between rocks, the person did manage to escape, and bystanders got them out of the water.
So that one survived?
Yes. In 2019, there had been 23 documented incidents in which visitors had slipped and injured themselves at Bridal Veil Fall alone, and 14 of them suffered head injuries. So those stories are, social media. You're getting pictures. You're leaving the marked trails.
Not paying attention to the signs.
The signs.
People
You're
are dumbasses.
climbing on slippery rocks. But it's just unreal. So then there's this story from 2018 from Citizens Times.
Oh, Citizens Times.
A girl, Sierra Rice, was a freshman at Western Carolina University. She and some friends in 2016 decided to hit one of the college's bucket list items and took off for a hike to Paradise Falls.
Remember bucket list item?
Yeah, it means before.
When I talk about my hiking guy. Okay, because one of them was checking off a bucket list item as well.
So I guess the college would put out, I don't know if it was the college or the
promoting,
kids at the college would put out this bucket list. So they decided, we're going to hike to Paradise Falls. Now, this is September of that year, so she's brand new at the school. The waterfall's like only a 20-minute drive from campus. Everybody goes and does it. It's in the, I don't even know why I'm going to try to say this, Nantahala National Forest, and partly on Duke Energy Land. It requires a steep, slippery, hand-over-hand hike to reach the stunning cascade that empties into a cold, natural mountain swimming pool.
You make it sound so beautiful, Laura.
Popular for cliff jumping and making dares.
Oh, yeah. Dare. Like, I dare you, I double dog dare you, I triple dog dare you. Okay.
It's so remote, there's no cell service there.
I can see where this is going. I can smell it all the way over here.
Rice and her friends found their way to the pool, like, later in the day. And then talk soon turned to who would be the first to climb the rocks and jump from the cliff. Rice said, the hike to Paradise Falls is known by everyone. It's known that if you jump off, you're a true catamount, which must be the mascot of the school.
It's also the name.
They said, I'll jump if you jump. And she said, I'm not scared. In a swimsuit and bare feet.
Famous last words.
Yeah. Swimsuit and bare feet.
Yeah. On rocks that are wet.
Rice started the precarious climb and slipped. She fell 25 feet onto rocks and broke her back.
Oh! Ouch. I felt that literally all the way down my spine.
Yeah. She says, I had to grab a tree branch, but it was more like a vine and couldn't support my weight. That came falling down. When I was falling, I felt like I was going to die.
Yeah, because you almost did.
Yeah. Everything went black. My eyes were open, but I could not see anything. I guess it was from the shock of the traumatic pain. I had to roll myself over into the water and swim with a broken vertebrae to the shore side. Once her friends realized there's something wrong, because it takes a minute. Like, you see her climb and
you think it's a joke.
Yeah. 2 of them had to run back up the mile-long trail and then drive until they could get cell service to call 911.
Wow.
Local rescue squads responded. They placed her on a sea collar, which is like a neck brace. Tried to warm her because these pools are freezing. The water comes from mountains, so you also get hypothermia.
When you shock your spinal cord, your body does all kinds of weird shit.
Temperatures. They couldn't run an IV with pain medicine because they were afraid she was bleeding internally. So she just has no pain meds.
So was she... I'll wait till you finish.
They wouldn't carry her out because the terrain was so rugged. They didn't want to risk dropping her and causing her to become paralyzed. So they had to wait for a copter to show up. So for 7 hours throughout the night, she had to lie shivering in her bathing suit, immobilized on a backboard, waiting for a Black Hawk helicopter to rescue her.
I know. I was an EMT and we practiced on those stupid backboards.
Oh, God. They make me so
sick. They are not comfortable. No. 7 hours on one?
Yeah. Freezing in your bathing suit.
Why couldn't... No, well, I guess they didn't have any blankets or anything, right?
No. I mean, the rescuers might have had some, but...
7 hours. Jeez.
I was in severe pain. I was cold. I had cuts all over my body. I was super uncomfortable. The pain in the back was really bad. The NC helicopter and aquatic rescue team, consisting of National Guard and North Carolina emergency management personnel, had to hover since there's no landing pad because they're in the woods.
Now you're going up on a string, which
and send down a basket with the guardsmen to lift her 200 feet into the helicopter.
No.
They transferred her.
Is she scared now? Because she wasn't scared on the dare. You're scared now?
Petrified. Yeah. They transferred her to Mission Hospital's air ambulance, which then brought her to the trauma center in Asheville, where she had to immediately undergo spinal surgery. A spokesman for the college said the college does have a freshman bucket list, including items such as tube down the Tuckasegee River and participate in the freshman run. Until Rice's accident, it did include the hike to Paradise Falls.
Now it's
but immediately after it was removed
go to
and
Walmart,
no longer
get
promoted.
A bag of chips.
Yeah. She said the paramedics took really good care of her. They told me I was really lucky to be alive. They told me that if I had hit my head, it would be all over. And they told me that people had died before from the falls. She said, I really had no idea. If I did, I probably would not have jumped. There were girls who went to Paradise Falls after me who knew what happened to me and said, we're going to go anyways.
Was
people
she paralyzed?
really aren't listening.
No. All right. People are stupid.
Yeah. So emergency responders and the management officials, as well as Instagram postings and stomach-sickening YouTube videos of cliff jumpers at Paradise Falls, will all back up Rice's statement. People are still doing it.
Yep.
They know this girl broke her back, almost died. They don't care.
Sometimes I think that's almost more of an allure for people. Like,
right.
Oh, I'll bet you I could do it. I wouldn't be that stupid.
Well, so they say the desire to impress, to push the limits, to get a great selfie seem to have no bounds. People walk right past the signs that say danger, serious injury and death have occurred here, and they go right to the falls. The number of people going to these falls is also on the rise. Where this is an estimated 5 million visitors a year.
Wow.
So more and more people are going.
Yep.
Which just causes more and more accidents. It's hard, though, to get an accurate number of injuries because, people leave and don't tell you. There's nobody there watching. But by most accounts, there had been 4 waterfall-related fatalities in North Carolina in 2018.
Yeesh.
February 26th, Upper
My goodness.
Catawba Falls. Jimmy Paul Schmidt Jr., 37, who was visiting from Georgia.
Jingleheimer Schmidt?
Yes.
Okay.
Fell to his death when he leaned over to get a better view of the scenery.
Oh my
May
God.
20th, Elk River Falls. Thomas McCardle Jr., 26, of Martins Ferry, Ohio, had been waiting at the base of Elk River Falls. It's believed he slid off a rock and was dragged under by the strong currents due to recent heavy rain.
Oh.
So he was just in the pool itself.
Just hanging out.
And drowned. June 2nd, Upper Creek Falls. A grandfather... Oh, that's just the... I'm not even going into that. That's the district of the forest. Daniel Arroyo, 25, of Lancaster, South Carolina, became separated from a group. They looked for him for about an hour before they could call 911. His body was found in the pool at the base of the waterfall, which was really high from recent rains. So he must have gone over without anybody seeing.
Oh.
June 23rd at Rainbow Falls. John Schaefer, 42, of Charleston, South Carolina, was swept over the falls while trying to save his dog.
And did the dog live? Didn't he?
Oh, probably.
Yeah,
I think
the dog's on the side looking at you like, ha.
Rice, so this girl, Rice, said she's never been back to Paradise Falls, but she knows it's still a very common party spot for students to go to.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Just trying to get the word out there to warn people about waterfall dangers.
Yeah.
She went back to school. She, she went there because it's in the beautiful mountains and she could hike. I mean, and
Asheville, North Carolina is beautiful.
Right. But she picked the school partly because of hiking and it's beautiful and blah, blah, blah. She still goes to school. But she can't, she's like, I want to go swimming in the creeks and do all that stuff. Like, while I wasn't studying, you can't do anything. She said, I used to walk around campus. I used to go hiking with friends and go to the gym. I used to play soccer and volleyball. I used to be a lot more active and better at sports. I'm not active anymore. She said she's gained nearly 50 pounds since her accident and has been riddled with health problems. And she said, once you become injured, it's easier for other things to go wrong in your body, which is true. She had a gallbladder out. She gained a lot of weight. She gets injuries much more frequently. And she just wants people to take precautions. It's beautiful, but it's extremely dangerous. You have to take a step back and think, what would your life be like if you were to get injured?
Yep. When I lived in Hawaii, I mean, you can't walk 2 feet without a waterfall. Mm-hmm. The big thing they have out there is the waterfalls. This water is, like you said, it's rushing because it's, most of Hawaii is very tropical, so it's always raining. So they're pushing boulders over the waterfalls with them. So it would say, don't stand under the waterfall, which everybody's doing because you're going to get cracked in the head by a boulder. Oh my God. Yeah. Gotcha.
So then there was this other story, but I can't find where I put it. But I think it was in the news, and I remember thinking, oh my God, it was like some church group went up into the forest, and I don't remember what state it was in. And they went up, and one guy climbed over the rail and was standing at the top of the fall. And people were freaking out, like other people that were there, like, come back over. You're not supposed to be over there. Like, that's really dangerous.
There's a reason
come back over.
The railing's up.
He went back over. 2 other people went on the other side of the railing, I think, to take a picture. Both of them went over. It's like this church group. Like, they were just out there for an outing. But, you have to heed the signs. Yeah. Listen to the warnings.
The fences are there for a reason.
Dress appropriately. Check weather. You have to... You have to be careful. They're beautiful. It looks like fun, but
it's not really.
No. So we're at my uncle's memorial yesterday, and a friend of his from high school got up and started saying something, and he said, he was always wild and he would always do anything, and I'm thinking, this is why my son's like he is, because it's in his blood. Yeah. It's my uncle, my father. It's all they just do what? Oh, this looks like it's dangerous. Let's do it. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so we said, they went up to New Hampshire or Vermont or somewhere, and there was a waterfall, and they were 17 or 18, and he went to the my uncle went to like the bridge over the top of the waterfall, and he's looking, and he said to his friend, I'll give you $25 if you jump with me. And he goes, I went up there,
Laura.
and I look over the bridge, and I look over the fall, and he's like, all right, if you go, I go. And he's like, okay. And he said, and my uncle just put his arm through his, and they just both jumped off. He goes, I went back as an adult to the waterfall. And he said, and I went to the bridge, and he goes, I looked down, and I thought, I don't know how I'm standing here alive.
No
like,
shit.
They just jumped off like a 25, 30-foot waterfall into the pool below.
Oh,
like,
no.
just
No.
don't do it. Why? There's no point in doing this.
Nope.
It's awful. And then did you just see this family? Oh, you know what? I'll talk about that next episode.
All right.
Because it's kind of similar. But anyways, heed the warnings. Stay on the trails. Stay on marked trails.
Don't
do not
go
go
chasing
over.
waterfalls.
Don't stand on boulders. They're wet and slippery.
Yep. They're beautiful to look at.
Yeah. The pools are
them.
also dangerous. You have to be careful. It's
Respect
water.
them.
You have to be careful around water.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's going to bring me to how are we going to get to these waterfalls? Well, we're going to hike in. We're going to hike in.
You need your good hiking boots on.
Exactly. So we're going to hike into these gorgeous waterfalls. And I've got quite some stories about hiking. Okay. So, mountain hiking is defined,
Okay.
as walking in a mountainous environment predominantly on marked trails and paths. However, boulder or snowfields can also be part of a mountainous hike as well, as short and very easy rock climbs could be. Passages with or without sport, so you could be doing rock climbing that you may or may not need wires for. Okay. Most hiking is done in altitudes under 3,000 meters. All these articles that I get, it's always meters. I don't know how long a fucking meter is. All right. It is estimated that every year there is about 175 deaths attributed to, quote unquote, unintentional deaths in a national park, like hiking.
Yes.
Being one of the unintentional deaths. Dangers of hiking fall into 3 categories: bad weather, wildlife, and environment or topography. Hikers' mistakes are not one of the biggest mistakes they make is they don't check the forecast, so they're not properly prepared. They're not wearing the correct gear,
or they might go out when you wouldn't have gone out if you knew that was going to happen.
When you there's a hike to Tuckerman's Ravine up in New Hampshire. It was on the backside of Mount Washington, and halfway up the ravine there's this little cabin, ranger's cabin, and on the wall are all the deaths on Mount Washington. Almost all of them, people, they think it's New Hampshire weather. How bad can that weather be? Mount Washington gets, I think, the worst weather in the world. So it hits and it comes and goes. It could be June, you're going to get a snowstorm, and they're not prepared and they freeze to death, or flash floods and they drown. It's crazy. So not being aware of your surroundings and not practicing safe hiking is another problem that they fall into. Not properly researching terrain and environment and not being prepared mentally. No hike itinerary, not enough water, hiking alone, overestimating your hiking ability, getting lost. So, common hiking injuries you're going to find. Sunburn. How do we fit that? Wear sunscreen. Wear long sleeves and long pants and wear a hat. Blisters. They happen because we've talked about this in our marathon episode. It's friction between your socks and your shoes. So wear good fitting shoes and socks. Don't decide that the day of the hike is the day to break in your new hiking boots, because that's always a big mistake. Keep your feet dry, and as soon as you start to feel this, most hikers keep in their first aid kit moleskin, which it's weird looking, but it helps with the blisters. Bug bites. Again, basically everything you're going to read here, wear long sleeves and pants when you're hiking. Wear, skin repellent. Of course, this is a very green article, so nothing with DEET in it, but DEET really is the only thing that's going to keep shit away from you. Muscle cramping. So drink lots of water, stretch before, try to refuel with sports drinks. Poison ivy. ID it and avoid it.
And wear long sleeves.
Long sleeves and pants. Scrapes and bruises. Wear long sleeves and pants. Chub rub. Wear long sleeves and pants. Twisted ankles. Okay. So that's things that people come in contact with when you're hiking.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about a few hikers here. Okay. We're going to start with September 2014. A hiker in Johannesburg, South Africa, gets his leg trapped by a boulder. Every article I have today on all the stuff we're recording, I can't pronounce anybody's fucking name.
Well, you're just not me, so.
So we've got Sonolo Shadrach Rosello is searching for holy water in streams of a mountain range in South Africa that's been deemed spiritual. He while searching for this holy water, slides down a cliff, and he gets his, because he's looking for that holy water. Here comes a snake, scares the shit out of him. He goes down the side of the mountain. As he's going down, his foot gets trapped by a boulder. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for Sonolo, he's got a phone. He calls, the crews come up. They have to climb down to this poor fucker. Mm-hmm. 50 hours it takes.
50?
50 hours it takes because they got to fly in an anesthesiologist and a surgeon and a paramedic who have to medicate him and amputate his leg at the scene. Oh. Because it's that stuck. They cannot move this boulder. So his leg gets amputated at the scene. And the where he's at, the surgeon and the anesthesiologist are on like ropes and pulleys because they're cramped where this guy is, and they're he's trying to saw while he's on a fucking rope. That must have been real precise. So that's Sonolo. Then you get the wicked famous guy, Aaron Ralston. He is the star of 127 Hours, where he is played by James Franco. So I just am not one of these people. A.A. Ron. He decides he's going to quit his job and he's going to hike all the parks in the Southwest. He's just so fucking motivated. So he is doing all this, but he would often go off and not tell anybody what he's doing, where he's going. So the day he decides to hike in this particular canyon of Utah, he goes off by himself. He didn't tell anybody what he's doing.
Didn't leave a message for anybody?
Nothing. No. Nobody knows
Couldn't
what fucking...
your mother?
No.
Going for a hike?
Nope. Nobody knows what AA Ron's up to. Good. He brings 1 liter of water, 2 burritos, a couple of chunks of chocolate. I would have had a lot more than a couple. Yeah. He's got his headphones on, a camera, but he's got no cell phone. God bless his heart.
Oh my God.
And he tells nobody where he's going. So he's hiking, doink, 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 slips, arm gets jammed between an 800-pound boulder. Oh. So for 2 days, he's trying with his rope equipment in one arm to jury rig something to move this boulder. Nothing. He's got it all on camera because he's got his fucking camera, he's got his headphones, and nothing's working. So he's got his knife and I don't know if it was an accident or what, but he accidentally sticks the knife into so the boulder is trapped like where his elbow is. Yeah. So he can see his hand on the other side, but it can't come out. So the hand's decaying because it's got lack of blood. Right. So now it's gone gangrenous. Oh. So he sticks the thing in the thumb and he can hear the gas from the gangrene come out. And he's like, it was like butter. So he kind of was like, all right, I'll have to cut my fucking arm off. That's what I'm going to do. So to get down to the bone was no problem because it's gangrenous. Right. And he's like, he wasn't doing it out of desperation. He was so pissed that he was stuck in there. The adrenaline from the anger, he's hacking away at his arm. But now you got to get through the bones. So what does he do? He throws himself against the boulder till his bones snap. Mm-hmm. Over and over and over till he snapped the bones off. Then he has to make the hike 64 feet out of the fucking canyon he's in. He gets to the top. He's got the rope as a tourniquet. He's dehydrated. He's a hot mess. Right. Yeah. He gets to the top, and it's always these Dutch people, because in my other one, it's a Dutch guy. These 3 Dutch hikers are like, ah, holy shit. They call for help. They get him help. The rest is history. So, we are going to talk about my key star today would be Warren. Let me get Warren's name. Warren McDonald. Ooh. He's Australian. Mm-hmm. He's something. So, this comes from Season 1, Episode 7 of I Shouldn't Be Alive.
I love that show.
I was watching this one. It stuck with me because I had to Google him when I was talking. I'm like, oh, I'm talking about this guy because this guy's fucking something. All right. So Warren McDonald is an avid, seasoned hiker. Mm-hmm. He wants to hike when nobody has hiked before. Mm-hmm. God bless his little heart. Mm-hmm. So he picks Hitchbrook Island, which is like at the top of the Great Barrier Reef off of Australia. Mm-hmm. It's a remote island. There is nobody lives on this island. There is a ferry that goes once a day to and out. It comes in at 8 o'clock. You're going to be waiting there at 8 o'clock. He comes back. He's not back till 8 o'clock next morning. In and out once a day. Okay. There is one trail that goes to hike the island. And it is a dense, dense tropical rainforest on this island with mountain ranges in the middle of it. It's a wild place to be. Excuse me. So Warren, he's hiking, day one. He comes across like a beach. So when, a lot of these wild hikes, there's always some random beach. So he comes across this random beach and there's this guy, Gert Van Halen.
Oh.
Van Halen? Van Halen. He's Dutch.
Van Halen.
He's gone to this island to hike. He wants to paint the landscapes. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. So Warren and Gert are hanging out on the beach that night. They become friends. They've never met each other before. They become friends. They're camping, and Gert's got this book, 10 Things I Want to Do Before I Die, my bucket list book.
Oh, God.
So one of the bucket list things, now because of their accents, I don't know if it's Bone Mountain, Brody Mountain, Boone Mountain. It's a mountain that begins with a B that's on Hitchbrook Island. Okay. He wants to climb to the top. The views from the top of this mountain are to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Sure. Warren's like, I'll go with you. Sounds like a plan.
Sure.
We'll go with you. Now, Gareth is kind of like, he's got, glasses, he's got curly hair. He hikes, but he's no Warren McDonald, okay? Mm-hmm. So they decide to cut out the next day. Now, because it is such dense rainforest, like he's explaining, there's these vines that can prickly shit on them. There's everything that can kill you is on this island. There's poisonous spiders, poisonous snakes, fucking green tree ants that bite you. So there's creek beds. They climb the creek beds because it cuts time off of the hike. Mm-hmm. Well, because you're not cutting through. You're not cutting through the overgrowth. Yeah. So they are climbing through these creek beds, and Warren's like, I was like a gazelle that day. I'm hopping boulder to boulder to boulder, and here comes Garrett. He's like slipping, he's falling. I mean, he's a hot mess behind the gazelle. That would be me. I'd be like, this sucks. What am I doing? Okay. So he's struggling. The guy's falling like every 2 seconds. So 5 hours in to this hike, and they're still not at the top. They're like, all right, we're kind of like lost. We're not on the right trail to get to. They're not. Warren wouldn't refuse defeat, so he said, I wouldn't say we were technically lost. I would say we just weren't in the right spot.
So you're lost.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're not technically a dumbass. You're just not that smart. Okay. So that's when they figure, like, let's set up camp. Let's have a cup of tea.
Take a break.
We'll have a cuppa and deal with it in the morning. Okay. So Warren's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. He's had a couple of cup of teas. Gotta go to the bathroom. He goes, but you don't want to pee where the creek is because we're using that water. So he decides to kind of go a little farther up, climbing like a gazelle one of the boulders so he can go pee. While he's climbing the boulder, he hears crack. The boulder falls on him and pins both of his legs under it. Smash! In the thing, he is screaming. He's like, all you could feel was the weight of it going further and further on my legs. He's like, I was in excruciating pain. He was hysterical. Like, I probably passed out. So Garrett's like, what the fuck? He comes running over. The boulder's massive. It's about this. It's as tall as like a 6-foot man, but it's 1,000 pounds. It was like a ton. So Warren's like, okay, I gave myself a couple of minutes to scream, and now I'm trying to get my shit together. And he's like, Garrett, you got to get a lever. We got to get this off of my legs. So Garrett's got like this little shitty Swiss Army knife, and he's trying to hack at all these levers. And he winds up, he's like, at one point, the handle of the knife came off, and I didn't realize it. So he'd cut up the shit out of his hands. Okay. So they get the first lever, they try. He goes, literally, you hear the boulder move a little bit, but all it does is just shift it back. It settled it more on him. So he's like, you got to get a tree. You got to go get a fucking tree. So Garrett back into the woods. And guy's like, I can hear him going for this stuff. He's like, please. He's like, you're waiting for that miracle of the crazy lady with the strength to get this boulder off my legs. So as Garrett's looking for the tree, it starts to rain. Of course. Okay. And he's sitting in a creek bed. Okay. So it's pouring rain, and he's looking for this branch, and this guy's sitting there. He's like, okay, what's going to happen is I'm going to drown. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to drown in this creek bed because this water's going to come flying down. Garrett comes back with the tree after like hours of hacking. The tree cracks, and Warren's like, I know this is the biggest branch we're going to have. And now my chances of moving this boulder are gone. So he's, like I said, he's listening to the rain, and he's like, I'm going to drown in here. This isn't going to be great. And they're interviewing Garrett, and he's like, at one point, I can see the outline of, so Warren's sitting with this big boulder on his lap, and he's like, you can see his outline. He's like, and I heard him cry, and I heard him kind of, and Garrett's crying as he's telling you this.
Yeah.
He's like, and I realized, like, that's the only complaint he really made this whole time. And he's just like, I just didn't know what we were going to fucking do. So the two people who barely know each other are sitting there, and Garrett's trying to comfort him as best as he can, and they're trying to come out with a game plan. And Warren's like, you have to hike to the ferry. And Garrett's like, what? Because he's not the avid hiker.
I'm really not a hiker.
He's like, you have to hike to the ferry. That's my only hope of getting out of here alive. Not that he wants to sit there alone and by himself, but there is no other choice. So they make this plan that Garrett's going to hike back. Now, it's going to take forever to get to this ferry, okay? He's going to hike back, and Warren's going to just hang tight in the creek bed. And now the rain has let off, so he's like, okay, I'm not drowning tonight. All right, so the next morning, Garrett's packing up his shit. He leaves some food. He leaves some water for Warren. He leaves him a notebook and a pen. And Warren's like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? But he leaves it for him. And Garrett takes a pair of Warren's socks to wear while he's hiking out. Garrett takes off. Off he goes. So as you're watching this, it's going back and forth between Warren and what's going on with Warren, what's going on with Garrett, what's going on with Warren. And Warren's like, I was going from moments of like, I got this. I'm surviving this too. I'm fucking dying here. He's like, and I realized he left me the pen and paper to write to the people I love my last words. So Garrett.
Oh God, love Garrett.
He is falling down the mountain. He is literally rolling and tumbling down the mountain. He's like, I was in such a hurry. I was just, and he's not in the creek beds now. He's in the thick rainforest. Yeah. At one point, like, they're showing you the green tree ants that they make like a ball of green ants and they bite. So he's like, I hit the green ants. I'm getting bit so bad I have to jump in a pool to get them off of me. He's getting hung up on vines, scraped. He's tumbling. He's falling. He's finally I was like, get your shit together, Garrett. If you die, he dies. Like, get yourself together and hike down. So he's doing his thing, trying to get down. Now Warren's clean his, they're talking to him. He's like, I always used to say it's glamorous to die in the place you love to be. No. He's like, well, it wasn't looking too glamorous while I was sitting there in the creek bed. I really didn't think I wanted to die here. So his emotions, like I said, they're all over the place. He's sitting there. He's like, I got to write my notes down. And now, almost a full day. Now it's 6:00 that night. Here comes the fucking rain again every night. Because they're in a rainforest. Right. It rains every day in the rainforest. Yep. And he's like, I'm going to die. This is it. And now he's nauseous. He's throwing up. Everything's just bad. So the next morning, you got Garrett. He's walking, but now he has been hiking for like 24 hours. And he's already missed ferry 1. He's fucking exhausted. He's like, I was delirious. I didn't even think I could walk anymore. He's like, and I just sat down. He's like, and I was at the point where I didn't care. I didn't care about anything anymore because that's how tired I was. Yeah. He's like, and I pull off my shoes and I look and I'm wearing Warren socks. And he's like, get your ass up and get moving again. He's like, so I get up, I get moving again. So now like day breaks and there's Warren hanging out in the creek. He's got no shoes on. And he's looking around him and he sees like blood in the water. And he's like, all right, I'm like a day into this. I'm not bleeding now. Yeah. He looks at his toe. Oh. There is a, what do they call it? A freshwater crayfish. It looks like a little tiny lobster. Picking the skin off his foot. Oh. And he's like, what the fuck? And he said, the worst part for me was, I didn't even feel it. No. He's like, but I'll be bullshit, you're going to eat me alive while I'm here. So he's like throwing shit at this crayfish. I almost threw up at that part of the thing. And now he's watching, like, he's basically watching his feet go gangrene because he's like spots. And he's still like, well, they're going to be broken. And he's also thinking, like, how am I going to get down this mountain with 2 broken legs? If Garrett gets help, it's going to be excruciating. That's all he's thinking about. He's still thinking this is okay. So 35 hours into the hike, Garrett gets to the base of the mountain, but he's not near the ferry. So he has to run like the length of the beach trying to find the ferry. While he's running, he's crying, he's throwing up, he's a hot mess, and he runs across like 3 people who just got dropped off. And they're like, yeah, the ferry's still here. He's like, Jesus Christ, runs over. As soon as the ferry captain sees him, he knows, like, something bad has happened. Yeah. The ferry captain immediately calls to the mainland to get rescue helicopters go. It takes over an hour and a half. So Garrett's sitting on the beach and literally writes into the sand, "Man trapped under boulders," of the helicopter. He flags him down. They pick Garrett up. They take him to he's showing them where he is because it's so dense. I don't even know how he found it.
I know. How do
I don't
know?
think I would have found you, Laura. You'd have been dead.
The
crayfish would have been up. Yeah.
I thought it was
So
here.
look, that vine looks kind of...
Is there another creek on this mountain? Maybe.
There's a lot of boulders. The crayfish would have been up to you, but your eyes by the time I got there. So Warren is like hallucinating. He's literally at the end of and he has the helicopter.
Oh my God. So
he's waving his arms, this and that. So once they find him, they have to leave, drop Garrett off, and come back.
Yeah.
So on the helicopter is a trauma surgeon, all kinds of medical personnel as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Garrett gets strapped back on the beach, and they're like, "You're going to have to take another helicopter back." And he's like, at this point, he's hysterical crying because he can't believe he actually made it.
Yeah.
So they go back up to where Warren is. And when they actually... So again, because you can't land it, they have to wire these guys down a little wire. And the doctor's like, "I thought he was dead." Because he's just kind of hanging on the boulder. He's like, "I was sure he was dead." And then he lifts up and he's like, "Good to see you, mate." I'm like, "What's that you say?" So they get these, basically car jacks. They lift the fucking thing up, pull him out. Put him on the helicopter. Off to the hospital he goes. So then it switches back to Garrett. And Garrett's like, "I call the hospital to see how he's doing." And they're like, "Well, you want to talk to him?" And he's like, yeah, I'd love to talk to him. And Warren's on the phone. He's like, "Hey, mate, you saved my life. Thank you." He's like, "But they had to take my legs." And at this point, again, Garrett can't even talk. He's crying.
Right.
So he becomes a double amputee pretty high up.
Oh.
He lost both those legs. I'm not surprised. I mean, they must have been shattered to fucking shit. So even though he has no legs, Warren is the first double amputee to climb Mount Kilimanjaro with prosthetics.
God.
Yep. And he, God bless him, he, nothing stops this dude. Mm-hmm. Nothing. So, we're going to do a little hiking safety tips.
Okay.
Before you go hiking, consult a park ranger. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure it's something you can handle. Mm-hmm. Give the park office a call before the hike. Visit the National Park Service site or stop by the office so they know that you're going to be there. Bring at least one friend. Never. Thank God, because Warren had gone there alone.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Although, if he didn't, Garrett wasn't
he wouldn't be doing Garrett's bucket list. Bring at least one friend. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be hiking by yourself. At least there's somebody there to help you if, God forbid, something were to go bad. I'm not going to read the explanations they give you. I'm just giving you the type.
We understand.
All right, that was 2. My paper feels awful thick for this to be 3, but it is. Create an itinerary and share it with somebody outside of the group. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So if you're going, "Hey, Laura, I'm going hiking." Okay, great. If I'm not back in 2 hours, let's call the help and make sure he's cute. Agree on emergency plan. Where is will there be reliable cell service? Is somebody bringing a fully charged phone? If not, can you bring a beacon or some way of signaling people up where you are? Does the park have an emergency number? Can you transmit a message? Shit like that. Prepare for weather, because weather will churn in a second. Mm-hmm. And if you're cold and you're wet, you're going to get hypothermic. Mm-hmm. If it's going to snow, you're going to be fucked. If there's lightning, you're going to be screwed. Mm-hmm. So check your weather. Pack 10 essentials. A first aid kit, a GPS, map, or a compass, sun protection, sunscreen, sunglasses, and a hat, a jacket, a raincoat, or extra layer, flashlights, lanterns, or a headlamp, matches, lighter, or fire starters, a repair kit that might have duct tape and a multifunctional tool, i.e. Swiss Army knife. Nutrition, at least an extra day's supply of no-cooked nutrition food. Power bars, I guess. Hydration, water, or means of water purification. An emergency shelter. Take a tent, space blanket, which are those metal...
Tinfoil.
Yeah, tinfoil-y looking shit. A tarp, a bivvy, as an emergency shelter for a sleeping bag.
Oh.
So take all those and make sure you pack them in case there's a problem. Mm-hmm. Customize your first aid kit to shit you might need. You do not leave your medical history in a car when you go hiking. You carry it with you. Buy proper hiking boots and socks. Mm-hmm. Protect yourself from the sun. Sunstroke. Sun exhaustion, heat exhaustion. They're no joke.
No.
So really watch what you're fucking doing. Bring an extra water or purification system. Stay on the trail.
Always stay.
Let's repeat that for those who had not heard. Stay on the trail. Go for a small trial hike before taking on a major one. Get into hiking conditioning. Be extra careful on the second half of the hike when you're exhausted or you're going down the mountain. That's when accidents happen. Like Gert. He fell down the entire mountain. And if you think it's going to be too much, don't be afraid to turn back. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of being smart. If you're like, I don't know if this is for me.
I think I'm done with this one.
I think I'm done. Yeah. So, my information came from... Hold on a minute, because I just threw the paper down. Oh, let's see. 14 essential safety tips to follow before and during every hike from Self Magazine. And I shouldn't be alive. And there you go.
All right,
Laura, you got an email for us?
I got an email. It's a novel, but I got
So
one.
we have an email that I was told is episode length. We could almost make it our own episode.
Yeah, we should have just
Okay.
done that.
Talk to me, Goose.
All right. Sorry, this isn't it's on my phone, so you're going to deal with this.
Yeah, be patient.
Okay, so this is from Caitlin.
Oh, Caitlin.
My dearest Boston babes.
Oh, I already love you.
And Mike.
Oh, Mike.
Fan mail, yay. I love your podcast. Legit.
Oh, so do I.
Cannot get enough. I love how raw and unedited it is. That is for certain.
I love that people think that's a good thing.
I know. Like, yeah, we just don't know how to do it anyway.
Yeah, we're raw.
Yeah. I love the random tangents. It's just so relatable. Facts and stories with a side of nonsense. And we're circling back. You make it feel like we're sitting in the room with you, catching up on a random Saturday night about crazy work stories and patience. I found you guys on Spotify.
Ooh.
I'm a fresh traveler, and the new unit is all about the podcast they listen to. I listened to Nurse Speak first. Spotify suggested you guys while searching Nurse Podcasts, and I'm so thankful for it. I binged all the episodes starting from the very beginning.
Well, now I want to know, are we better than Nurse Speak first?
No, I'm not sure. You guys have taken me on an emotional roller coaster with all the episodes. I have laughed, gasped, oh my god, and annoyed anyone around me bragging about my Boston Girls podcast.
Which I keep telling my son, he's losing our culture because he does not, none of my kids have the Boston
neither
accent.
do mine.
And the Boston neighborhoods that create these accents are all gentrified with little yuppies, so now nobody has the accent. I'm like, listen.
We're a dying breed.
We can't let this die out.
I know.
We can't.
Sad. It's sad.
It's very sad.
So, few suggestions / questions.
Uh-oh.
You don't have to read these.
I don't
as
like
assume this will be
suggestions.
read on the podcast.
Oh, we're reading it.
We're reading it,
Oh,
Caitlin.
It's going down, Caitlin. We're bringing it on.
First one's for the man behind the curtain.
Uh-oh.
Mike. Is it really necessary to have the intro beeps at level 9,000 and then the ladies at a 7?
Yes, because the dogs like it that high.
I'm making it louder this episode.
I don't know why, but I have to turn down the volume every dang time. Maybe I just have extra sensitive ears. Nicole, you kill me with the Wikipedia source.
Well, that's all it's easy and quick, so shut up.
I'm sitting on the edge of my seat every time. Don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. Sure enough, you cite Wiki.
Well, I didn't cite it today.
I'm like, come on, you're better than that. And roll my
Wow.
eyes, LOL.
Ouch. Ouch.
Sparkles. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
I also die at the end of the episode with the monotone, boring, like, rate, subscribe nonsense. I am coming off an adrenaline rush, good time, laughing so hard, then bam, snooze fest.
Well, that was recorded 3 years ago, and we just keep playing the same one.
I
You're
know
not
the
getting a new
listeners
one.
need to know how to get a hold of you guys, but throw some sparkle on it. Listen, if I say it at my regular pace, no one's going to fucking know where to
kidding.
reach us.
We gotta slow her down.
It's going to be boring. You don't have to listen if you already know.
Oh, she's harsh.
She is harsh. This one is for all three. Since Nicole likes to be laid back and relaxed when chatting,
I'm tired.
it moves away from the mic.
Like
I have
right
a
now?
grade A suggestion. LOL. Could you MacGyver a headlamp with a mic hanging in front of her face? Think of the fish from Finding Nemo with the light hanging in front of his face. What
Yes,
could
but
go
the
wrong?
problem with that is I also talk with my hands, so I'd
It'll
be
be
hitting the mic.
whacking it
It would
all
like
the
pum 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 as I'm hitting the mic fucking
Like,
constantly.
as we do with the tables.
Yes, exactly. I hit it now.
I'm cracking myself up.
You're not cracking me up yet. I'm waiting.
It's been crazy listening to each episode because later in the week, I either have a similar patient or it's related to my personal life. The jellyfish episode I listened to right before... I listened to right before I went to Key West. I got home and I'm like, babe, if you get stung, I cannot pee on you.
I wouldn't pee on you anyway.
He looked at me like I had 8 heads, which isn't any more unusual than any other day. So I explained the episode, and he's like, we can buy vinegar down there. You don't need to pack it. Thankfully, we didn't need it, nor did he let me buy it.
You don't want that breaking in your suitcase. Ugh. Who douched in here?
I had a patient who was on our unit for quite some time, and I listened to the Munchausen's episode. I went to work the next day, and I'm like, so I was listening to this podcast. We know, Caitlin. All right, rude, but anyway, does so-and-so's mom possibly have the munchies? I was just shocked listening to it, being like, oh my God, she totally has it.
She thinks everybody has Munchausen's.
Like
you have Munchausen's and you have Munchausen's.
You're not sick. You have Munchausen's.
Liar.
I died laughing during your Donna Potty episode when you threw Illinois straight under the bus about not knowing how to fish.
Well, seriously, do you have any fucking oceans out there?
No.
I get pond fishing, but it's pond fishing. It's not like deep sea fishing.
Also, slightly personally attacked, but whatever. I enjoy the jabs.
Take it that's where you're from, Caitlin.
Also, when someone wrote in about how she was a new grad working in the ER and immediately asked if it was in Chicago.
Well, because she was dealing with like 4 gunshot wounds in one day.
I'm like, well, you're not wrong with that guess. It's a bit of the wild, wild west here. 2 stories. I'd say they're quick, but clearly I have so much to tell you guys. I think
she should buy a plane ticket and come on out.
I know, why not? I was on orientation on a med-surg tele unit. I had a patient that was post-op and recently had her Foley discontinued. All afternoon, she had been saying it felt like something was still inside her when she peed. She was a bigger lady, so couldn't really check her own lady parts and investigate. I had her pee one more time, then lay in bed, spread eagle, and take a look.
She went diving.
Yep. Now, when we place Foleys or stray cats, we have the 3 iodine swabbers to clean the area and to get the wink. Apparently, when they inserted the Foley, they didn't dispose of all the materials, and inside her hoo-ha was an iodine swab.
Ouch.
So
that was a burn.
Yeah. So here I am, a new grad, fresh meat, having to tell an alert and oriented ×4 patient she wasn't going crazy. Someone just left an iodine swab in her coochie. Yet making it sound like this happens all the time.
Oh, yeah, we do it all the time.
Yeah. I was thinking, people aren't going to understand this that don't do that, but it might have been like a redirect, like, that's her vagina, this is where the urethra is. So when you're
trying to put in a Foley, you would be surprised, but the entrance to the vagina and the entrance to the ureter can look the same. So sometimes people will put the swab, like you have 3 cotton balls dipped in betadine, you'll put the swab in the entrance to the vagina so that you know the right hole you're going into. So that might have been what happened.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people can't find that hole.
Oh, no shit.
I was wondering if you guys were going to do a topic on things found left in patients or any wild stories from the OR.
We could do that, actually.
Yeah. I just finished the Advanced Mother's Day episode the other day. A few years ago, I donated my eggs. I have to provide family photos, health history, the works. I had to have weekly lab draws and give myself shots and be on a strict med regimen. I went in weekly for vaginal ultrasounds. I ended up having 9 eggs on one side and 13 on the other side for a grand total of 22. The procedure to remove them wasn't that bad. My boyfriend says he heard us all laughing, then crying. Then I was out in the chair next to him. When the nurse came out to talk to him, they told him I may experience some pain and soreness. He said, she won't complain. Just say it's like bad period cramps. Sure enough, I came out. They gave me something to drink and asked how my pain was. I said it's fine, just like having my period. Can I have a heat pack? I remember none of this.
My doll?
Yeah. I remember laughing with anesthesia, then waking up in the PACU area, wanting to go home. I have no idea whether they were successful with any of the eggs or how many they used. When I filled out the paperwork, they asked what you want done with your eggs if the parents should die and don't use them all. My eggs could legit be passed on to their family for future kids. Hard pass. I said I wanted them donated to science. There is a website I should check. If the family does conceive, they can contact me about any health history questions.
That's weird for me. I don't know if I could do that.
I mean, I know it's not your kids, but technically
it is your kid.
Yeah.
It's your DNA out there.
Just wanted to share my thoughts, give you some fan mail and suggestions. Keep up the great work. Looking forward to the summer series. Love your Chicago friend, Caitlin. Well,
Caitlin, that was something. Love
I'm
all
sorry
these suggestions.
I bore you.
Thank you. You did not bore us. Glad you love the podcast. Listen, I like to kick back, so I don't know if that's going to change. Maybe I'll get a head mic, like a real,
No,
like,
I can't
like
take you
McDonald's.
serious. I can't take you serious like that. I cannot. I can't look at you with that.
So yes, we love the emails. I love my fan mail. Maybe someday we'll get out to Chicago when we're huge.
That would be fun.
And,
I love Chicago.
Chicago, I've never been there. It's
really?
a hell of a town. So enjoy your summer series. Be careful hiking.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Please don't go over the fucking railings in front of a waterfall like a dumbass.
Now that we say that, did we do an episode on waterfalls?
No, we did an episode on national parks.
Oh, and the waterfalls.
And there was a waterfall in there.
I'm like, wait, I remember saying
I
this.
believe Mike titled that episode
Don't go
chasing
Okay, I'm like,
waterfalls.
this sounds real familiar.
That was the one where they jumped into the fucking thermal pools and shit.
Oh,
yeah. All right. So
like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast app.
At wherever you find us.
And
right?
I will never say it like that
and
again.
just skip, what was it, Nurses Speak? Just skip right over them and go to Scissors and Scrubs. All right. All right. We'll see you later. Have a safe summer. Bye.